YouTube, what is going on? It is Sports Culture, and today I have a different type of video. It's going to be my NFL draft steals from the 2024 NFL draft class, and I have about 12, maybe 11 guys on this list right now, and I'm definitely going to make a part 2 because I definitely feel like there's more sleepers or more steals, whatever you want to call that, but I'm also going to be making an NFL draft reaches pretty soon, maybe coming out later on today or tomorrow, so definitely be on the lookout for those two videos, man. I'm going to make this video awfully fast. I don't want to make this video too long. Let's go ahead and get right into it, though. Now, the first guy we have to talk about is A.D. Mitchell, the wide receiver out of Texas, and I was very high on A.D. Mitchell. I thought he was the fourth best wide receiver in this year's draft class. I thought he was for sure a top 40 pick, someone that get drafted inside the top 40. And when the Bills won, the clock originally before they traded the pick to the Texans, not to the Texans, the Chiefs, what am I talking about? I originally thought, they were going to get A.D. Mitchell. Obviously, they traded back, end up getting with Keon Coleman, but I thought A.D. Mitchell was definitely worth, drafting in the first round. Obviously, he fell because of, diet concerns, him being diabetic, and character concerns. But, I mean, which elite wide receiver in the NFL isn't a little bit of a diva? So, I'm very high on A.D. Mitchell. Like I said, he was my fourth wide receiver in this year's draft class. I think he has it all in terms of as a wide receiver. Maybe not the greatest after the catch, but I do think, he's able to make the first guy miss. And I don't think we were able to really, see if he could do that in that Texas offensive scheme. But this guy is going to be very good at the next level, in my opinion. He's a very, very good route runner. Really solid off the line. He's still developing in terms of releases. But, the one thing that definitely stands out about A.D. Mitchell the most is his hands. Very, very elite hands. You'd maybe like to see him, go up and get the ball just a little bit more in terms of, contested catches. But has elite hands. Had like a 3% drop rate this year or something like that. So, very, very elite. And he's going to kill it. I really do like this fit with A.D. Mitchell and the Colts, man. Shane Steichen, the head coach for the Colts, man, is already one of the best play callers. I think very highly of Shane Steichen as a play caller. And he's going to be like one of those, Kyle Shanahan guys, in my opinion. One of those elite, play callers we're going to be talking about for the next 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. I think Shane Steichen is going to be a head coach for many, many years. But I'm really excited to watch this Colts team with A.D. Mitchell, Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, this team has a lot of weapons. And, yeah, this was one of the biggest steals in this year's draft class. Like I said, I was very high on A.D. Mitchell, and I think he's going to kill it with the Colts. The next guy we have to talk about is Cameron Kitchens, a safety out of Miami. And he definitely didn't have the greatest of years this year in 2023, man. But I'm banking on him returning to that 2022 form. And I know the LA Rams are banking on that as well. If he would have been able to go to the draft or was eligible to go to the draft in 2022, I think he would have been the first safety or the second safety off the board easily. He was phenomenal in 2022. He was phenomenal in 2022. Not just one of the best safeties in college football, but literally one of the best defensive players in college football. He was all over the place. I still think Cameron Kitchens is more athletic and more solid than a guy like Tyler Nubin, even though I have Tyler Nubin as my second safety in this year's draft class. I still think Cameron Kitchens is more versatile than a guy like Tyler Nubin. I still think, there's a lot to like about Cameron Kitchens. He's still younger than a guy like Tyler Nubin. And I still think, this year didn't have the greatest ability. Didn't have the greatest of showings in 2023. But when you watch the film in 2022, man, the way he was just trusting his instincts, the way he was flying around the football field, his versatility, the way he was able to play in the box, also play some snaps in the slot, but obviously play back deep. And, his ball hawking skills, I wouldn't say ball hawking skills, but his ability to read route concepts and understand what the offense was trying to do and take it away as a safety was super good in 2022, man. Now, when you watch the film this year, definitely wasn't the same case. Definitely wasn't trusting his instincts as much like he was in 2022. Definitely looked like he was second guessing himself a lot more this year in coverage and just, in general, trying to stop the run as well. But there is a lot to like about Cameron Kitchens still. Very good coverage safety, in my opinion. And I think one of the better sure tacklers when he's inside the box or, coming downhill to make a tackle. So there is a lot to like about him. Like I said, he's younger than a guy like Tyler Nubin. I think he's more athletic and more solid in the sideline than a guy like Tyler Nubin. I still think he has all the athletic traits you want from a safety. He has the height. He has the weight. It's just about him getting back to that form in 2022. Like I said, wasn't the greatest in 2023. Didn't kill at the combine by any means. But I think getting a guy like Cameron Kitchens in the third round, someone that I think could still be, a very elite safety in the NFL, was a phenomenal steal, a phenomenal pickup for the Rams. So Cameron Kitchens is the second guy I had to highlight in this video. Now the next guy I have to talk about is Cedric Gray, the linebacker at UNC, and he got drafted at pick 106 in the fourth round. And this was someone who I thought was the fourth or third best linebacker in this year's draft class. I thought him and Peyton Wilson, in my opinion, was super interchangeable. Cedric Gray is someone I think is going to be very good at the next level. Just such a fluid linebacker. The way he moves around the football field, it's like he's gliding out there. Very, very instinctive. I like his ability to close distance in a hurry. I like his ability to drop back. The one thing I don't like about Cedric Gray is maybe his tackling technique on a play-to-play basis. He's very instinctive. He knows where the ball is going. He has, great eyes. He doesn't lose his eyesight during traffic or anything like that. But just isn't the greatest at wrapping up on a play-to-play basis. Outside of that, man, he has everything you want from a linebacker. Moves very, very well for a linebacker. Could drop back. Wasn't really asked to do that much in terms of man coverage at UNC. But he could drop back. Very, very good in zone coverage. Very instinctive, like I said. Has the height, has the weight you want from a linebacker. And I think the Titans got an absolute steal, man, at 106. I thought this guy should have got drafted inside the first 3 rounds. And he's going to go in there and probably be the starting linebacker or the linebacker 2 right off the bat. They lost a guy like Al-Shazier this offseason. And it's crazy enough, or cliche enough, a lot of people's pro comps for Cedric Gray is Al-Shazier. So they went ahead and got rid of Al-Shazier this offseason, or lost Al-Shazier, and then basically drafted him again. So, So I do think this is a phenomenal fit for the Titans. I think this is the definition of a steal. Then the next guy on this list is Brandon Doris. And I'm a huge Brandon Doris fan, man. I love his versatility. I think if you want a guy who's very, very good at getting to the quarterback, Brandon Doris is your selection. Now, the Falcons, I didn't really like what they did in the draft, but, one thing I did like that they did was they addressed the D-line. I like, the players they selected. I thought they, should have drafted Jon N over Rook, but I'm not going to, blame them. I think Rook over Rook is still a really good player. He's very raw. He has all the athletic traits you want from a D-lineman, and he's probably going to be, the defensive tackle for this team. But, I mean, Braylon Trice was a very good pickup, and then Brandon Doris, in my opinion, was, the icing on the cherry on the top, whatever you want to call it. I thought this was a home run hitter for them. I think Brandon Doris is going to be a guy that makes an impact, almost instantly. I think he's someone that can play a lot of snaps for them right off the bat. The one thing about this Falcons defensive line last year was they were super old and they couldn't generate that much pressure. And so, I like what they went out there, or I like what they did when they went out there in this draft. They addressed the D-line. They got a lot of guys that are super young, super versatile, and that are very good at getting to the quarterback. And they needed to do that. I mean, they signed Kirk Cousins. They need to get the ball back to their offense. So, in my opinion, getting a guy like Brandon Doris in the 4th round, who I thought should have got drafted, maybe a little bit earlier, I think this was a steal. I think this is someone, who should contribute right off the bat. And I'm not putting people on this list because of, I thought they should have got drafted earlier or anything like that. I'm putting people on this list because of where they got drafted and, the impact they can make for this team. And I think Brandon Doris is one of those players that get drafted in the 4th round that could, find themselves playing a lot of valuable snaps, for that Falcons team. So, very, very good pickup for the Falcons. They got, in my opinion, maybe a starter in the 4th round. And the next guy we have to talk about is Javon Baker in the 4th round to the Patriots. Javon Baker was my 10th wide receiver in this year's draft class. I am a huge fan of Javon Baker. If you watch my YouTube short, you can definitely tell that I'm a huge fan of Javon Baker. Like I said in my YouTube short, I think Javon Baker has 1st round talents for a wide receiver. This guy has, all-around skill set for a wide receiver, man. Javon Baker is a as a wide receiver, super route savvy, a super crafty route runner. Has a lot of releases off the line, could beat you right off the line instantly. But the one thing about Javon Baker that I'm pretty sure all of you know the most is his ability to go up there and catch the football in contested catch situations. Now, definitely doesn't, have the greatest hands on a play-to-play basis, especially on not contested catches, concentration catches. He had a 10% drop rate, but a lot of people just look at that as a stat and say, oh, this guy doesn't have good hands. But, I mean, he's a very, very good hands catcher. He's someone that looks very natural with using his hands. And, I think Javon Baker was such a steal for the Patriots. I think this is someone, even though they drafted Polk in the 2nd round, I'm pretty sure, 2nd round, I think Javon Baker could go in there and actually be the starter over Jalen Polk. I like Javon Baker more than Polk. Polk was my 11th wide receiver in this year's draft class, so I actually do like Polk a lot. But I think Javon Baker is just better. I love his skill set, in terms of what he's able to do. I think him and Polk are maybe similar. I definitely see a lot of similarities in their game. But Javon Baker is just a way craftier route runner, way more route savvy, has a lot more releases off the line. And who knows, man? I think this is someone who, would Drake May down the line, could, Drake May being the starting quarterback, I think Javon Baker could be the starting wide receiver for this team for many, many years. I love his confidence as a wide receiver. You need to have confidence as a wide receiver. And Javon Baker is oozing with a lot of confidence. So I think this was a steal. Him and Drake May are going to kill it for many, many years. The next steal was Cam Hart at 140 to the LA Chargers. I think Cam Hart was a really, really underrated cornerback in this draft process. I thought this was someone, that deserved more draft buzz. He's a traditional lockdown cornerback. He's not going to be someone that goes out there and gives you all these interceptions. Maybe not all these highlight pass breakups by any means, but one thing I will say that he will do, and I'll say confidently, is he will lock down the side that he's assigned to. For a guy at 6'3", 6'2", man, such a fluid mover. I love his ability to break, to move in his back pedal, break down, and go make a play on the receiver, go make a play on the ball. Just super, super athletic for a guy 6'3", 6'2". Maybe he doesn't have the greatest, recovery speed. And the Chargers got a really good player in the 5th round, man. I think this is someone who could maybe, be the cornerback 2 at the end of this year. Maybe even the cornerback 1, man. I'm very high on Cam Hart. Like I said, I think he's going to be someone that goes out there and just locks down, one side of the football field. Gives me Jalen Johnson vibes out of college, man. Definitely the same kind of play style. I think they're both great lockdown cornerbacks. Won't go out there every weekend and give you all these crazy interceptions, all these highlight plays. But one thing they will do is not get their name called upon a lot because they're locking down one side of the football field. So those are the same type of vibes that give Cam Hart. And I think the Chargers got an absolute steal in the 5th round. This is someone who I'm very high on. Now the next steal was Christian Magny in the 6th round to the Detroit Lions. And this won't be considered maybe a steal because, he should have got drafted maybe in the later rounds like he did in the 6th, 5th, 4th round. But this is a guy who I think will be a day 1 starter for the Lions. So that's why I have it on here because to get a day 1 starter in the 6th round is very, very rare. But I think Christian Magny could go in there and be the day 1 starter for the Detroit Lions. I think Graham Glasso, I'm pretty sure, his name's Graham Glasso, the guard for the Detroit Lions. He was very average last year for the Detroit Lions. I know he only allowed like 2 sacks, 3 sacks last year, which doesn't seem like a lot. But, I mean, the man allowed over like 40-something pressures, which is a lot at the NFL level. So, you could definitely upgrade. And I think Christian Magny, just because of his athletic ability, I just think he has more upside. I think this is someone who could definitely go in there and be a starter over Graham Glasso. So, to get a starter-type player in the 6th round is a steal, in my opinion. Yes, he was going to get drafted in the later rounds, and he did. This is still a steal. I think Christian Magny was one of the better pure guards in this year's draft class. And the Detroit Lions, man, got a lot of good players in this year's draft class. I didn't maybe like their 4th round selections, but outside of that, man, I thought the Lions really killed it. They jumped my Green Bay Packers to get Terry Arnold. So it's funk, man. They're the ops forever. You already know it. But just a great draft, honestly. Mekhi Wingo, I don't have a Mekhi Wingo on this list, but maybe I should have actually. Mekhi Wingo was one of my favorite defensive linemen in this year's draft class. So they got a guy like Mekhi Wingo in the 6th round as well, I'm pretty sure, or the late 5th round. I'm pretty sure it was early 6th round, actually. The same round as Christian Magny. But, the Lions had a pretty solid draft, man. I'm not going to lie to you. They had a pretty solid draft. Like I said, didn't like the 4th round selection. But outside of that, man, I thought they got a lot of guys who could honestly play a lot of snaps for them right off the bat. And like I said, to get Christian Magny, a guy that I think could be the starter in the 6th round, that is a phenomenal pick, and that is what I call a draft steal. Now, the next player is Spencer Rattler, and I thought Spencer Rattler should have got drafted in the 4th round. I'm not mad he got drafted in the 5th round. I think that's where 4th round, 5th round is where he should have got drafted. The reason I have Spencer Rattler on here is because I think Spencer Rattler could honestly be the franchise quarterback for the Saints after this year. Now, definitely, there was a lot to work on with Spencer Rattler, man. But, I mean, if you watch the film compared to, the previous years when he was playing at other colleges to this year when he was playing at South Carolina, man, it's night and day. I mean, he's improved a lot as a player. And the ability has always been there. The talent has always been there for Spencer Rattler. To me, it was more of a mind thing. He wasn't the greatest, in my opinion, at playing with anticipation at the collegiate level. It wasn't the greatest at processing the game. But, I mean, in terms of talent, man, it's always been there. Arm talent, the 'ability to throw on the run, the ability to throw off platform, the ability to, extend plays. It's always been there for Spencer Rattler. He's fairly athletic. He has the size at 6'2", 6'3". So it's always been there for Spencer Rattler. To me, it was just more of a mind thing. And I really do like this pickup for the Saints. The reason I have it on here is because I think he could be the starter, the future quarterback for this team for many years. He's going to probably play... he's not probably going to play this year. I think the Saints probably start Derek Carr the whole year. But who knows? I mean, Derek Carr these last couple of years has been stinking the bed. So they could definitely sit Derek Carr by week 6, week 8, put Spencer Rattler in, and we could see what Spencer Rattler has, man. I'm having this pick on here because I think Spencer Rattler... with this offensive team that, the offensive talent that they have in New Orleans right now, I think he could be a very solid player for the Saints, man. I'm not saying he could be a world beater at the quarterback position. He's going to be a guy that's going to be an all-pro or anything like that, but I think this is someone who could be a starter for this team for many, many years, could be the franchise quarterback, and to get a player of that caliber in the 5th round is a draft steal. So, like I said, the talent has always been there for Spencer Rattler, it's just been always a mind thing to me with him. And I think Spencer Rattler, compared to the previous years he's played, out of the collegiate programs, compared to where he's playing when he played this past year at South Carolina these last 2 years, it's night and day in terms of film, in terms of what he did. It's night and day. And I think Spencer Rattler, like I said, could be the franchise quarterback for the Saints team. So to get him in the 5th round, get a quarterback like that of that nature in the 5th round is a draft steal. Now, the next guy on this list is Jon N, and I want you to read this right here. Round 2, my number 1 defensive player. Like I said, my number 1 defensive player. It's all my opinion, but I watched a lot of defensive players in this year's draft class, and I thought a lot of these guys were very, very good. I watched Brian Murphy first, and then I watched Laiatu Latu, then I got through all those guys. I watched Dallas Turner, and one of the last guys I watched was Jon N, and I was blown away because Jon N, in my opinion, has that rare ability for defensive linemen to game wreck, to not just game wreck in terms of getting to the quarterback, but his ability to stop the run. I thought Brian Murphy at times whenever I watched film, he gets stood up way too many times, especially taking on double teams and just whenever he was trying to get to the quarterback. I mean, not get to the quarterback, but stop the run. But when I watched Jon N, I felt like it was a way more rare occasion or occurrence that he'd get stood up or sat down in the run game, especially taking on double teams. And I felt like his impact was way more than a guy like Brian Murphy's in terms of, on the D-line for his team. Jon N, man, I mean, you had to double team him. You had to double team this man because if not, he was going to beat your one-on-one and he was going to make a play happen. I was blown away because, when I watched him, man, I watched Laiatu Latu, I watched Dallas Turner, I watched Brian Murphy, I watched all these guys first, and I was like, man, these guys are really, really dominant. But then I watched Jon N, man, and I was like, this guy just blows them away because of how dominant he was. There was just a different physicality, a different aggression that he plays with. I love his play style as a defensive lineman. He's so physical, man. He's going to hit you. He's going to make you feel it. He's still getting better in terms of stopping the run. His hand usage, in my opinion, was the best in this year's draft class. I think Jon N, I think Brian Murphy maybe plays the leverage game better. I think Brian Murphy maybe is like a half a second faster than Jon N off the line. But outside of that, man, I think Jon N's better in every aspect. I think Jon N, his arsenal at getting to the quarterback is better. His hand usage is better. His violent hands are better. I think he has faster hands. I think his ability to, like I said, to get off double teams is better. His ability to just block sheds is better. I just really think Jon N is going to make a lot of teams, realize they made a mistake, especially the Atlanta Falcons who took Rook Road before him. Don't get me wrong, I really do like Rook a lot. I think Rook could be a very good player. He has all the athletic traits you want, but I just thought Jon N, man, was the best defensive player in this year's draft class. And if someone could let me know in the comments, man, why he fell. I read a lot of articles. They're all over the place. But if someone could let me know really why Jon N fell, that'd be very, very grateful in the comments. I read a lot of articles, like I said, but I really don't know the reason why he fell. I know there was an injury, but, we've seen a lot of dominant players from the collegiate level have injuries and still get drafted very high. So, like I said, my opinion, I think Jon N was the best defensive player in this year's draft class. Production at the college level for defensive tackles in this year's draft class. I think he had 27 or 24 pressures more than the next defensive tackle. So like I said, very, very productive, very, very dominant, and he's going to show a lot of teams why they made a mistake next year, man. I'm telling you right now, Jon N might be a sleeper for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I know it's hard for D linemen to win it, man, but he's going to be really dominant. I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL for many years. And the final player on this list is Roman Wilson in the 3rd round to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as you see, the Steelers got 2 guys on this list. Once again, they killed the draft. They have 2 Wilsons on this list as well. They have a lot of Wilsons in general on their team. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Roman Wilson. I think this is a draft steal because I think Roman Wilson is going to make a huge impact on this team. He has the ability on this team to be the horizontal or vertical threat. I definitely see him taking more of the horizontal threat role because George Pickens is just so good at going vertical, making contested catches, and just, being a phenomenal player. I could definitely see Roman Wilson being the horizontal threat, but they have a guy like Calvin Austin, who I think very highly of still, who could definitely be the slot and be the horizontal threat as well. So I'm very interested to see how they use Roman Wilson, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Callaway, who they signed this offseason from the Saints. And then they have guys like Deuce Watts, who I think is very underrated. Watch Deuce Watts this year. He's going to get a chance. Deuce Watts going to make something happen. But, yeah, I think this team has a lot of good players. I'm very interested to see how they use Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, George Pickens. Obviously, they have Najee Harris, TJ Warren, the running back. So they're a very balanced offense. I think they're going to be very balanced. And it all comes down to Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever's going to be the quarterback. I mean, I think this, Steelers team is only going to go as far as the quarterback lets them. And if they get Russell Wilson from last year, I think this team has a legitimate shot to be, a really good playoff team. So, like I said, very, very good pickup for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 3rd round. Roman Wilson, was going to get projected in this area to get drafted in this area. But the reason I have him on here is because I think he's going to make a huge impact for the Steelers team, especially in his first year. And, yeah, I think the Steelers team next year should be very solid. And Roman Wilson for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 3 was a home run hitter, a phenomenal pickup. And the Steelers, once again, killed this draft. All right, boys, that is going to be the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like and comment if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really, be appreciated. It really helped this channel out a lot, man. Like I said, I'm probably going to make a part 2 to this video because I don't think I did enough players justice. I think there's still a lot of players that, worst steals, or maybe I'll make the next video NFL draft sleeper picks or something like that, because I think there's a lot of sleeper picks, a lot of guys in the later rounds that I think could be very good players and contribute in the first year to an NFL team. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, man. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.